Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I'm Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will embark on a three-nation tour to Jordan, Ethiopia and Oman from 15 to 18 December, aiming to deepen India's engagement with key partners in West Asia and Africa. So the visit begins in Jordan on the 15th at the invitation of King Abdullah II Ibn al-Hussein. As per the information provided by the MEA, the Prime Minister will hold talks with the Jordanian monarch to review the entire gamut of relations between India and Jordan and also exchange perspectives on regional issues. Now, this visit coincides with the 75th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the two countries, offering an opportunity to deepen cooperation and also explore new areas of partnership. In the second leg of the visit, at the invitation of the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali, Prime Minister Modi will pay a state visit to the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia from 16th December to the 17th. This will be Prime Minister Modi's first visit to Ethiopia, during which he will be holding wide-ranging discussions with his Ethiopian counterpart on all aspects of India-Ethiopia bilateral ties. In the final leg, Prime Minister Modi will visit the Sultanate of Oman from 17th to 18th of December at the invitation of Sultan Haitham bin Tarik. This will be the Prime Minister's second visit to Oman, and this visit also marks 70 years of diplomatic relations between the two countries. India and Oman share a comprehensive strategic partnership rooted in historic ties of trade, culture and strong people-to-people connections. The significance of the Prime Minister's three-nation tour as India deepens ties with partners in the global south and some of the key outcomes that we could expect from this four-day overseas visit of the Prime Minister is what we will focus on the program today. Joining us are two guests. I'm delighted to welcome former Ambassador Mr. Prabhu Dayal. Sir, thank you for your time. Welcome to Sansad TV. Also joining us is Professor Anshu Joshi, School of International Studies, JNU. Professor, thank you for your time as well. Welcome to the program. So we'll talk about each leg of the Prime Minister's three-nation tour, two countries in West Asia and Africa. But first, let's get a holistic overview about the significance and some of the key expectations. So, Ambassador, let me begin with you. In context of India's broader diplomatic outreach with partner countries in West Asia, in Africa, over the last decade in particular, how significant is this visit of the Prime Minister?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on your show. The visit of the Prime Minister to Jordan, Ethiopia and Oman is extremely significant and has to be viewed in the overall context of India's outreach to West Asia and Africa, which has evolved into a comprehensive and strategic engagement. It has moved beyond traditional economic ties to encompass security, technology, and multilateral cooperation. You know, India's approach is driven by the pragmatic link of building ties to the countries to the west of India, the link west idea. And it's a revitalized Africa partnership along with a revitalized partnership with West Asia. West Asia, of course, is a region vital for energy security. It also has a huge Indian diaspora, which significantly deepens our interaction. And that is why we find ourselves maintaining very strong, independent bilateral relations with all the countries of West Asia, including, of course, Iran, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, Kuwait, Bahrain on one side, and Israel on the other. It shows that we are balancing both sides and maintaining a holistic policy towards that region. So let me just elaborate briefly on what I see as the importance of visit to these countries, each one of them.
Sure, Ambassador, we'll discuss that. Let me also get in a perspective from Professor Joshi, a holistic perspective on the three-nation tour before we get into the specific countries. Professor, you know what Ambassador said, I'll take on from where he left at. India balancing its relations with different countries based on its national interests. in the current geopolitical scenario, we've seen India emerge as a global power. We are a country that also has taken several initiatives to represent the global south at the international fora. So how do you see this visit of the Prime Minister to these countries, to partner countries in West Asia and Africa, aligning with our priorities and aspirations, not just as the emerging global power, but also taking along countries of the global south?
Wonderful, Tina. And first and foremost, let me thank you for having me on this show on this very important discussion. I second Ambassador Dayal. The timing is very significant of this visit. And let me also add the point of the official visit of Russian President to India. So just after hosting a Russian President, our Prime Minister is visiting these three important countries covering a West Asian and African region. And you are absolutely right, time and again, it's not India, it's the world that has acknowledged India's presence as a leader of global south on multilateral platforms in global politics. And we have seen that how through different platforms, India has tried to not only democratize different organizations, but India also has ensured increasing the role of global south nations in overall global politics. So adding African Union country as a permanent member to G20 when we had the presidency is a classic example of the statement. And our Prime Minister is going to visit Jordan, Ethiopia and Oman. And each of these countries has a unique flavor and a geostrategic presence in two different regions. And when our Prime Minister visited Brazil to participate in this BRICS summit, when Brazil hosted it, again he took a route through Africa, through Latin America, and if I can recall, he visited Ghana and then he visited Argentina, and he tried to establish not only bilateral relations, as in strengthening relationship from key perspectives of South-South cooperation. By doing so, he tried to promote an overall goal of promoting South-South cooperation. So this is what we can see in this visit also. And India has a strategic partnership with the Oman. If I give you as an example, in 2008 we extended our bilateral relationship to strategic partnership. With Ethiopia we have another unique kind of a partnership wherein Ethiopia supports us in our fight against global terrorism. And Jordan also, with Jordan we have a significant bilateral relationship. And from economic ties point of view, India has a special place in the list of Jordan. So by visiting these three countries, not only India is trying to fulfill its national interests of diversification of its market and economic policy, India also is trying to strengthen this South-South cooperation, which is much needed in today's times of flux and turmoil in global politics, wherein we can see two on theaters of war.
Certainly. So in that context, it's very important to keep track of the Prime Minister's visit, because there will be significant outcomes about which we will also discuss later. But coming to you, Ambassador, now on the specific leg of the Prime Minister's three-nation visit, which begins from Jordan. What we know about India and Jordan is that we share historically warm ties, but this has not often remained in the spotlight. Now, this visit of the Prime Minister marks a significant milestone in our relationship, 75 years since the establishment of diplomatic relations between both countries. A huge opportunity for both countries to renew support, to review the entire gamut of bilateral relations and commit to further enhancing this cooperation. In that context, what key areas do you expect will be emphasized upon when the Prime Minister will meet the Jordanian monarch?
Well, as you rightly said, this visit of the Prime Minister will coincide with the 75th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. And discussions will focus on reviewing bilateral ties and exchanging perspectives on regional issues with an aim to boost collaboration for mutual growth security, and stability. I must say, both countries have been slowly enhancing their cooperation. Political and strategic cooperation is very important. Jordan is a stable and moderate voice in a volatile Middle East region, and this makes it a crucial partner for India's engagement in West Asia. Now, both nations share concerns about terrorism and extremism, and both countries are cooperating on counter-terrorism efforts with high-level discussions and agreements on defense and security cooperation. Jordan, has consistently supported India's bid for a permanent seat in an expanded UN Security Council. And the two countries often align their positions in international fora like the World Trade Organization. Then, of course, economic cooperation is very important. Jordan is very important for India due to strong economic and commercial ties, as well as significant cooperation in the fertilizer and textile sectors. Let me mention that India is Jordan's fourth largest trading partner.
Right.
And in 23-24, the bilateral trade was valued at approximately 2.875 billion, and that has only grown since then. Fertilizer and phosphate trade is a cornerstone of the economic partnership, and naturally, this aspect will come up for discussion at high levels during Prime Minister's visit. India imports large quantities of phosphates, phosphoric acid, and potash from Jordan to support its agricultural sector. Then, of course, Indian companies have invested over $1.5 billion in Jordan, particularly in the phosphate and textile sectors. Many Indian garment manufacturing units operate in Jordan, and the exports are sent to various other countries in the region. So certainly, enhancing cooperation in the economic and industrial area will be very important in the talks. And of course, India exports a wide range of goods to Jordan, including electrical machinery, cereals, frozen meat, organic and inorganic chemicals, and of course, automotive parts. So all this will come up for discussion, as also people-to-people contacts and how to enhance them. There are about 17,500 Indian nationals living and working in Jordan, primarily in the textile and construction sectors, and they contribute to both the economies. Education and culture has been a very important pillar of cooperation. Let me mention Jordan offers visas on arrival or e-visas for Indian tourists, and direct flights have been established, boosting tourism and people-to-people contacts.
Okay.
So all this is going to enhance cooperation. And let me mention ITEC is important also, because India provides ITEC assistance to Jordanians to help them develop capacity building.
Okay, so the entire range of bilateral relations in the manner that the relationship has evolved over the last more than 7 decades, and also ways to further enhance cooperation is what will be the key focus. But besides this, we often see leaders engage on issues of regional and global interest. Professor Joshi, in that context, given the ongoing tensions in West Asia, tell us about how important is Jordan's role in stabilizing these tensions, and how can New Delhi, as a country which is neutral and which can engage with the warring parties, how do you see New Delhi engage with Oman on matters of regional security, on other humanitarian issues that are also emanating as a fallout of the tensions?
See, when we look at the current picture of West Asia, definitely it's a very it's at a very complicated stage, and despite announcing truce between Israel and Hamas, we can see how still multiple parties or stakeholders are involved in the conflict over there, and in this kind of a situation, how the other nations play or what kind of role the other nations play becomes really critical. And that's where, when we look at India as an external, country or as a factor, India has been promoting not only regional peace and security of West Asia. India has been proposing this two-state solution since a long time to establish peace in the region, wherein India has good relations with both. With Israel also, we have a special strategic partnership. And when it comes to Palestine, acknowledging Palestine is a part of our foreign policy. So India is a neutral nation. But as our Prime Minister stated when Putin was here, that we are not a neutral nation, we are standing with peace. So that is what India proposes. And in that plight, when our Prime Minister would be visiting Jordan, and when we look at the location of Jordan and the kind of role it has in the regional politics, definitely we can see how both nations share common perspectives on regional security, global issues, cooperation, and sorting out different conflicts through a diplomatic dialogue. So we have seen that how Jordan supports India's philosophy and India's policy of maintaining regional and global peace and security through diplomatic dialogues. Jordan also has been supporting India for its permanent seat or in United Nations Security Council. Jordan also supports India in reformation of different international organizations, and in India's fight against terror, Jordan also collaborates with India. So definitely when our Prime Minister would be visiting Jordan, there could be talks not only on bilateral engagement from trade's point of view, from culture's point of view, from future engagements point of view, or from people to people connects point of view. Definitely there might be a talk on regional security, how to establish peace in the region. And that's where it would be interesting to see how Jordan promotes India's solution of this whole issue, which is a burning issue in West Asia at the moment.
Absolutely. So all eyes will be on Prime Minister's visit to Jordan. Let's now shift focus to the second part of the Prime Minister's visit, which will be in Ethiopia. Ambassador, Ethiopia is a key player in Africa. It recently joined the BRICS as well. Tell us about how this visit of the Prime Minister will boost India's Africa strategy in context of the competition that we have from China, also some countries in the West.
Well, this will be Prime Minister Modi's first visit to Ethiopia, and it will be at the invitation of Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali. They will naturally hold wide-ranging discussions on all aspects of India-Ethiopia bilateral ties, including developmental cooperation and issues like agriculture, digital public infrastructure, capacity building, and investment opportunities for Indian businesses. Now, Ethiopia is important to India, and they have long-standing historical relations. They also have now significant economic partnerships, including trade, investment, development assistance. And above all, they have strategic cooperation also in areas like capacity building and regional diplomacy. Now, India was among the first nations to establish a diplomatic mission after Ethiopia's liberation from Italian occupation. And both countries have shared common views on global issues on various fora like the UN, the G77, and others where they have the opportunity to interact. Now, India is one of the top 3 foreign investors in Ethiopia. You have referred to competition from China. Yes, China is the leading investor, and China has a very big partnership with Ethiopia. But India is also among the top 3, and we have over 600 Indian companies involved in manufacturing, agriculture, floriculture, engineering, and pharmaceuticals, and these are all operating in Ethiopia. Bilateral trade has shown consistent growth, and it has approached about $3 billion, making India one of Ethiopia's largest trading partners. Now, Indian exports are diverse and range from pharmaceuticals, steel machinery, textiles on one hand. Of course, India imports pulses, oil seeds, spices and leather from Ethiopia. So it's a good, healthy bilateral trade relationship. Let me mention that education is a very important sector of cooperation. Ethiopia has been a very core element of the relationship where we have promoted educational facilities abroad, and thousands of Indian teachers and professors have worked in Ethiopian schools and universities. And this is not now, for decades this has happened, contributing significantly to human capital and development.
Okay, so
Let me
development
also
partnerships
mention
in areas like capacity building, agriculture, also digital public infrastructure is something that could be the central talking points during Prime Minister's visit to Ethiopia. It's his first, so quite significant, given the significance that Ethiopia holds in boosting Asia's strategy. Time is running out, but we yet to focus on Oman, which is another important country that the Prime Minister will be visiting. Ambassador, I'll take the question first from you. Oman has been a long trusted partner for India and the Gulf, and just ahead of the Prime Minister's visit, news has trickled in that the Union Cabinet has approved a free trade agreement between India and Oman. Tell us about how important is it in context of deepening our economic ties with Oman, and what kind of new trade avenues will this open up for both the countries?
You know, Oman and India have very close economic and trade relations. In fact, India is one of Oman's top trading partners, and bilateral trade reached approximately $10.6 billion in 2024-25. Significantly, Oman is a very reliable source for India's energy requirements, including crude oil and liquefied natural gas. There are joint ventures. For instance, there are about 600 India-Oman joint ventures in Oman, and an estimated total investment of 7.5 billion has come in from India. So Oman and India joint investment facilities and strategic investments are a very important aspect which will be focused upon during Prime Minister's visit. Let me also just mention that there are certain new areas, for instance, digital economy. The two countries have signed an MOU to link their payment systems. India's UPI is proposed to link with Oman's mobile wallet, and that will facilitate digital transactions. Of course, a very important factor is Oman's strategic location. Oman is located at the mouth of the Persian Gulf and controls the southeastern entrance to the Strait of Hormuz. And this makes it a critical partner for India, particularly because of our oil purchases, our oil imports from various countries in the Gulf. So not just economic reasons, but also strategic reasons make the partnership very, very important.
Absolutely. Professor, given that Oman is a major gateway for India's connectivity with West Asia and Africa, strategically it's important. But this visit of the Prime Minister, it's the second one that the Prime Minister is undertaking to the Sultanate. But most importantly, the fact that about 8 lakh Indians live in Oman, that makes it a major pillar of our partnership. What kind of outcomes, in addition to the CEPA, do we expect the Prime Minister's visit adding to the India-Oman relationship?
See, when we look at India-Oman relationship, it's marked by a very strong, centuries-old strategic partnership, which is marked by deep cultural ties, robust trade, and a strategic partnership which was announced in 2008. And Oman is a key Indian partner in Gulf Cooperation Council also, GCC, and Arab League also. And Oman is the country that supports India's West Asia policy in the region. So apart from our centuries-old cultural relationship and the kind of diaspora that is present in Oman, we have a strong collaboration in the sector of defense and security also, and there I expect some good outcomes, as in Oman is engaged with India through joint exercises now like Nasim al-Bahar and Naja, and Indian Navy has got access to Oman's ports for Indian ocean security. It is critical. So, and from economic relationships point of view, from energy relationships point of view, and definitely from like people to people connections point of view, I do see some significant announcements we might hear after this visit of our Prime Minister. And definitely this visit is important because our Prime Minister would be celebrating 70 years of diplomatic strategic relations with Oman, and he would try to explore new avenues in the sector of defense and security, trade and investment, and definitely people-to-people connects. Tina.
Okay, Ambassador, I'll take one last question to wind up the program, because this is an important three-nation tour that the Prime Minister will be embarking on. But how could this tour reshape India's foreign policy priorities in the coming year? This visit comes at the end of the year 2025, but it also sets the tone for our foreign policy priorities in the year 2026.
You know, there is a sense of continuity in Prime Minister's foreign policy. He has a policy of reaching out to various heads of government and heads of state, and that enhances the relationship which he has at a personal level. You know, very frankly, when there is high level, good personal interaction, that percolates downwards. That has a strong effect on the entire bilateral relationship. And Prime Minister has focused on strengthening this sort of interaction so that the entire gamut of the bilateral relationship is strengthened. And therefore, I see these visits to the three very important countries, Jordan, Ethiopia, and Oman, as being significant as not just a milestone, but as part of a continuing process of developing and furthering India's national interests.
Certainly. So this visit, as both our guests have rightly pointed out, promises a stronger partnership and opening newer avenues of cooperation with each of these countries. We'll keep a close track of the outcomes, and then perhaps also find time to discuss them in greater detail. But for now, we'll have to wrap up this conversation. Time allows us to take up only that much on the program. Thank you once again, Ambassador and Professor, for joining us with your views and suggestions and also on the expectations from this visit. It's a wrap from us on this edition of Perspective. To you viewers, thank you very much for your time as well.